Have you ever been in a relationship where no matter what you do, it's never enough? You bring her flowers wrong color. You stay home. You're too comfortable. You work late. You don't care enough. And slowly, you start believing you're the problem. But what if I told you the truth isn't about you at all? There's a hidden mechanism, a deep psychological program running inside many women long before you ever showed up. A pattern that makes them feel restless, unsatisfied, and empty, no matter how perfect things look on the outside. And if you don't understand this mechanism, you'll spend your life trying to make an unhappy woman happy, pouring yourself into a bottomless bucket until there's nothing left of you. This isn't a rant against women. It's a wake-up call for men to stop apologizing for things they didn't break and to start protecting what truly matters: their peace, their respect, and their masculine center. Stay until the end, because once you see this clearly, you'll never chase validation again. You'll stand still, calm, grounded, and free. From a distance, she looks perfect, confident, radiant, full of life. But beneath that polished surface, there's a quiet restlessness that never seems to fade. It's the same story repeated across generations, across cultures, across time. No matter what she has, it never feels like enough. She gets the man she wanted, but soon he's not exciting enough. She gets the job she dreamed of, but it doesn't feel fulfilling. She moves into the apartment she once envied, but within months, she's scrolling for something better. This is not coincidence. It's a pattern, and it's powerful. The inner void that modern life amplifies. At the heart of this unhappiness lies something ancient, the human craving for what's missing. But for many women today, that craving has been multiplied by cultural programming stories that promise everything, yet deliver nothing lasting. From childhood, they're told, "You deserve the best. Never settle. You can have it all." Sounds empowering until it becomes a curse. Because having it all is an illusion that destroys peace. The moment you believe you can and should have everything: perfect romance, endless passion, success, admiration, comfort, you doom yourself to live in a constant state of comparison. Every small imperfection becomes proof that something's wrong, and in that search for the perfect, the good is never enough. The cycle of expectation and disappointment. It starts with excitement, a new love, a new job, a new goal. For a while, everything feels alive. But as the novelty fades, the mind begins its silent sabotage. This can't be it. This should feel better than it does. This person doesn't make me as happy as I expected. That moment, that subtle shift from appreciation to analysis, is where unhappiness begins. Because the mind stops being present and starts measuring, and measurement kills gratitude. The Stoics warned us centuries ago, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. When the imagination is fueled by social media, unrealistic ideals, and endless comparison, suffering becomes a habit. Now, imagine a woman who's been taught from birth that happiness should be felt constantly, that if she's not overflowing with joy, something is wrong. She's not just chasing happiness, she's fleeing stillness, and that's a race no one ever wins. The Disney effect modern culture sold an emotional fantasy, the idea that love should feel like fireworks forever, that your partner should intuitively know your needs, that you'll wake up every morning filled with passion and gratitude. But real life, is quieter. It's repetition, routine, imperfection. It's two people growing through stress, fatigue, and boredom together. And to someone who's been conditioned to crave stimulation, peace feels like emptiness. So she starts to question, have I settled? Did I choose the wrong person? Is this all there is? Not because her life is bad, but because her expectations were built on fiction. Fiction always collapses when it meets reality. The devaluation mechanism. Here's something that most men never understand, and it breaks them. The same woman who once adored you, who saw you as a prize, who couldn't stop texting you, can wake up one morning and feel indifferent. Why? Because the moment something becomes hers, the mind begins to devalue it. The chase triggers dopamine, possession triggers boredom. It's not malicious, it's neurological. But when it goes unexamined, it becomes destructive. She'll start romanticizing what she doesn't have and resenting what she does. She'll compare your steady loyalty to someone else's chaos and call it passion. She'll crave what's missing instead of nurturing what's present. That's how relationships die, not from betrayal, but from ingratitude disguised as disappointment. The Stoics would call this the failure to align desire with reality. When your desire points outward, always toward what's next, peace is impossible. The modern amplifier comparison culture, social media, took this ancient flaw and turned it into a full-blown epidemic. Every scroll shows a highlight reel of perfection, flawless couples, dream vacations, endless smiles. Each image whispers, "You're behind. Your life should look like this." But here's the trap: comparison destroys joy. She's not comparing reality to reality, she's comparing her unfiltered life to someone else's edited fantasy. And every comparison feeds the same thought. Something's missing. That thought becomes identity. Identity becomes emotion. Emotion becomes behavior. Soon, she's not even reacting to you. She's reacting to the story in her head about what love should feel like. And that's where men lose themselves, because they start believing they can fix it. They buy more, do more, explain more, trying to fill a void that was never theirs to fill. But how do you satisfy someone whose hunger grows from illusion? You can't. You were never meant to. The Stoic truth. You are not here to fix another person's perception. You are here to embody peace so strong that illusion breaks against it. When you stop chasing her approval, something powerful happens. The dynamic reverses. The moment you stop trying to make her feel enough, she's forced to confront the emptiness she's been outsourcing to you. And that's when healing can begin, but only if she chooses it. Because happiness isn't found in another person's effort. It's found in the discipline of gratitude, in seeing clearly what is, without needing it to be more. So the first step in understanding female unhappiness isn't judgment. It's awareness. Awareness that you cannot fix what was never broken in you. Awareness that her dissatisfaction is not your failure. And awareness that peace begins when you stop trying to be someone else's source of joy and start becoming your own. Before you blame her attitude, understand her origin. No woman wakes up one day and decides to be perpetually dissatisfied. This unhappiness, this chronic restlessness, is not born from a single heartbreak or a single disappointment. It's the result of years of invisible programming, generations of emotional conditioning passed down like an unspoken inheritance. Every woman carries two stories inside her, the one she lives and the one she absorbed before she ever had a choice. The first root, the father wound. Many women grow up with fathers who were absent emotionally, physically, or spiritually. Maybe he worked long hours, chasing survival or success. Maybe he was there in body but not in presence, a man who could fix everything except the distance in his daughter's heart. Maybe he was critical, inconsistent, or simply unreachable. What does that teach a young girl? That love is unpredictable, that men give and take affection based on performance, that approval must be earned, and that peace only exists when she's pleasing someone else. Fast forward 20 years. Now she's in a relationship with you, and every time you grow quiet, she doesn't see a man taking space. She sees her father walking away again. Every time you forget to text back, she doesn't feel mild irritation, she feels rejection. Her nervous system relives abandonment that never got resolved. So she tests. She provokes. She complains not because she wants conflict, but because conflict feels safer than silence. It's the only language her nervous system knows. And here's the tragic truth. She doesn't want to hurt you. She wants to confirm that you won't leave. But in trying to protect herself from abandonment, she often creates the very thing she fears. The Stoics would call this living in reaction to ghosts. She's not arguing with you, she's arguing with her past. And until she becomes aware of it, no amount of love can fill that hole. The second root, the mother mirror. A woman learns what love looks like by watching her mother. If her mother was chronically unhappy, always complaining, never satisfied with life or her partner, the daughter learns that unhappiness is normal, that criticism is intimacy, that complaining is connection. It's not intentional, it's imitation. Children don't listen to what parents say. They absorb what parents feel. So when the mother sighs after every conversation with her husband, when she rolls her eyes, mocks, or belittles him, that emotion imprints on the daughter's nervous system. She grows up believing that strong women always find fault and that peace is weakness. And one day, she becomes that woman, frustrated, restless, unsure why she can't stop criticizing the man she actually loves, because that's what love looked like to her. Love meant tension. Love meant conflict. Love meant never being satisfied. And so the cycle continues, mother to daughter, generation to generation, each woman believing she's different while living the same emotional pattern. Each man caught in the echo of a wound that isn't his. The third root, the fantasy trap. Then there's the modern layer, the cultural script written by movies, social media, and self-help slogans. She's told that she deserves a man who just knows, a man who's always romantic, emotionally fluent, perfectly masculine yet endlessly gentle. She's told that relationships should feel like magic, that if she's not constantly euphoric, something's wrong. So she grows up chasing highs instead of building depth. When real love arrives steady, calm, sometimes quiet. She mistakes it for boredom, because her nervous system was trained to equate drama with passion, and when you give her consistency, she feels restless. When you give her peace, she feels numb. When you give her love, she wonders if it's enough. That's the curse of fantasy. It poisons reality. She compares your genuine effort to an impossible ideal, and reality always loses. The Stoics understood this long before Instagram existed. They taught that suffering comes not from what we lack, but from expecting life to be something it isn't. The woman who expects perfection will find flaws in heaven itself. The fourth root, the social mirror comparison, has become the new addiction. Her happiness is no longer built on what she has, but on how what she has looks compared to others. She sees her friend's engagement ring, her colleague's vacation, her sister's lifestyle, and instead of gratitude, she feels anxiety, because every image whispers, "You're behind," and every scroll deepens the wound of not enough. Her mind becomes a battlefield of comparisons, and her heart, collateral damage. Even when you love her deeply, she can't fully receive it, because she's too busy measuring it against what she imagines other women have. You tell her she's beautiful, but someone online got more likes. You take her to dinner, but someone else got a trip to Paris. You give her peace, but her feed celebrates chaos. The tragedy is that she doesn't see what she's doing. She's comparing her real life to someone else's highlight reel, and losing a race that was never real to begin with. The fifth root, the identity of unhappiness. And here's the darkest root of all for many women. Unhappiness becomes identity. They bond with other women through complaining. They find validation in struggle. They feel seen only when they're hurt. So when life gets calm, when a man loves them steadily, when things are stable, they feel disoriented. Happiness feels unnatural because misery has become familiar. It's the emotional home they keep returning to, even if it burns them every time. She doesn't know who she'd be without dissatisfaction, so she keeps creating it unconsciously, automatically, endlessly. The Stoic perspective. The Stoics believed that freedom begins with awareness. You cannot conquer what you refuse to name, and most modern unhappiness, male or female, is a war against self-awareness. When she blames the world for her emptiness, she loses her power to change it. When she blames men for her discontent, she cements her dependence on them. And when she refuses to take responsibility, she trades freedom for victimhood. But once she realizes that the war is internal, she can finally begin to find peace, not by changing others, but by mastering herself. And for the man who loves her, this understanding changes everything, because now, instead of trying to fix her, he can stand firm, calm, centered, compassionate but unmoved. He becomes the mirror she never had, one that reflects truth, not emotion. That's when her healing can begin, not because you made her happy, but because your peace reminded her what happiness actually looks like. Once upon a time, a woman's sense of worth came from who she was, her kindness, her loyalty, her inner grace. Now, it's measured in comparisons, attention, and validation. Everywhere she looks, there's a mirror reflecting what she isn't yet. Every ad, every influencer, every "you deserve" more slogan whispers the same poisonous message. You're not enough, but you could be if you just had more. And that, right there, is the engine of modern unhappiness, the market of insecurity. The modern world doesn't just tolerate dissatisfaction, it profits from it. The beauty industry, the self-help market, even social media platforms, they all thrive on a woman who constantly feels incomplete. Because the moment she feels enough, she stops consuming, she stops chasing validation, she stops performing. So, the system keeps her hungry. It tells her to love herself, but only after she buys the next product. It sells empowerment in the form of dependency on approval, attention, applause, and the cruelest trick, it makes her believe she's in control while quietly controlling her emotions. You see, unhappiness has become an economy. Every like, every scroll, every insecure thought is data. And every data point becomes an advertisement designed to remind her of what she lacks. What was once a personal struggle has become a cultural epidemic, a world full of women trying to become what they already are. The feminine myth, rewritten modern society, told her she could have it all. Career, beauty, freedom, family, adventure. But what it never said out loud was that having it all means feeling like a failure at everything. Because balance doesn't sell. Struggle does. Exhaustion does. Comparison does. She works 10 hours a day to prove she's independent, then feels guilty for not being more nurturing. She stays home to raise her kids, then feels like she's wasting her potential. Every choice becomes a loss because the modern narrative has turned life into a scoreboard. And at the end of the day, she lies awake, not peaceful, not fulfilled, but haunted by the feeling that she's losing at a game she never agreed to play. The comparison disease social media didn't create female unhappiness, but it industrialized it. It made envy global. Now every woman has front row seats to thousands of other women's filtered happiness, their perfect skin, perfect homes, perfect men, perfect lives. She scrolls and feels the subtle sting. Why doesn't my partner do that for me? Why don't I look like that after kids? Why does her life seem so perfect when mine feels so ordinary? She doesn't realize that those perfect lives are just performances carefully lit, edited, and cropped illusions designed to make her feel behind. And once that feeling settles in, peace is gone. Because envy doesn't whisper, it roars. It makes her believe that joy isn't something to be felt, but something to be displayed. And so, she performs. She smiles when she's sad. She posts when she's lonely. She projects happiness to hide her disconnection. But what you hide becomes what you are. The mask becomes the face. And the woman who once sought authenticity now measures her worth in pixels and hearts. The weaponization of empowerment. There's a silent irony in how society preaches empowerment to women while quietly stripping away the very tools that create it: self-awareness, humility, accountability. She's told she's perfect as she is, that any dissatisfaction she feels must be someone else's fault, that the world, men, or patriarchy are to blame for her emptiness. And so, she stops looking inward. She never asks, What part of my unhappiness am I responsible for? Because introspection has been replaced with outrage, reflection has been replaced with reaction. Modern empowerment doesn't heal wounds, it glorifies them. It teaches her to wrap her pain in ideology instead of understanding, to wear her trauma like a badge instead of releasing it. And the more she identifies with her suffering, the more the system celebrates her, because as long as she stays wounded, she stays predictable. She keeps scrolling, keeps spending, keeps chasing the illusion of freedom sold in fragments of dopamine. The emotional economy. Every algorithm is designed to feed her dissatisfaction. Anger keeps her engaged. Outrage keeps her scrolling. Sadness keeps her seeking. She's being conditioned not to think, but to react to every image, every headline, every opinion that triggers emotion. She's not consuming content. The content is consuming her. And the result? A generation of women who are emotionally exhausted, mentally overstimulated, and spiritually disconnected, yet convinced they're empowered because they can speak their truth. But truth without stillness isn't wisdom. It's noise. And that noise is what keeps the modern woman perpetually distracted from the one question that could free her. What if the problem isn't out there? The Stoic mirror. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But our culture teaches the opposite. You have power over nothing unless the world approves of you. That's why the modern woman, for all her freedoms, feels less free than ever. She's chained not by men or society, but by her own need for validation. And the more she seeks it, the emptier she becomes. Because validation is a hunger that grows with every bite. The more you feed it, the more it consumes you. A Stoic man understands this. He doesn't argue with her unhappiness. He doesn't try to fix or save her. He simply reflects calm truth quietly, unshakably. He knows that peace cannot be taught to someone still addicted to chaos. It must be seen. And sometimes, the most powerful act of love is not giving her everything she demands, but standing firm enough for her to realize what she truly needs. There's a moment in a lot of relationships that men don't understand. Everything is calm. No fights. No drama. You're present. You're providing. You're loyal. And then out of nowhere she starts a fight over something tiny. A tone. A message. A name you didn't mention. You sit there confused, thinking, where did this come from? We were fine. You were. But she wasn't. Because for some people, peace feels unsafe. Not because peace is bad, but because peace is unfamiliar. When chaos feels like home. If she grew up in a house where there was tension, control, emotional distance, or a mother who was always dissatisfied, then her nervous system learned love is stress. Connection is walking on eggshells. Being cared for equals eventually being disappointed. So when she finally gets a man who is calm, present, not playing games, her body doesn't relax. It panics. Because her past whispers, "This is too good. This won't last. Better test him now before reality hits." That's why you see women create conflict in the middle of harmony. It's not always manipulation. Many times, it's self-protection. If I start the storm, at least I'm the one controlling it. 2. The "I'll break it before it breaks me" pattern. This is one of the most destructive emotional programs. She goes, "This is good. This is too good. This can't be real. I don't want to get hurt." Destroys it first. So she'll pick apart your effort. She'll question your motives. She'll accuse you of not loving her like before. She'll compare you to other men she barely knows. Not because you actually did something wrong, but because she'd rather ruin something stable than wait in anxiety for it to disappear. That's not logic. That's trauma running the relationship. It's the scared little girl in her saying, "I've never seen love that stayed, so I don't trust this either." 3. Testing as an addiction. Men ask, "Why does she keep testing me?" Answer, because the test makes her feel secure. When she pushes and you stay calm, she thinks, "Okay, he's real." When she pulls away and you don't chase like a boy, she thinks, "Okay, he's not needy." When she insults lightly and you hold your frame, she thinks, "Okay, he's a man." So why does she keep doing it again? Because the relief she gets from he past is temporary. So she needs another test, and another. This is how self-sabotage hides. She wants peace, creates tension. She wants love, makes love harder to give. She wants stability, attacks the man who brings it. If she never becomes conscious of this loop, she will sabotage every good relationship she ever gets. And then she'll tell her friends, "Men always change," when in reality, her nervous system never let men stay. 4. Drama as stimulation. There's another layer: boredom. We live in a dopamine culture, constant stimulation, constant novelty. Real relationships aren't like that. Real relationships are repetitive. They're built on rituals, not fireworks. To someone addicted to emotional intensity, repetition feels like death. So what does she do? She creates emotional spikes, picking fights, imagining slights, overanalyzing your tone, bringing up old issues, stalking your socials to find something. It's not because you're suspicious. It's because she's addicted to the feeling of something happening. Drama becomes a substitute for aliveness. But here's the problem. Drama always has a cost. It slowly destroys trust. It drains your masculine presence. It teaches you, "I can't relax around her." And the moment a man can't relax around a woman, he starts to leave emotionally. 5. The blame shield. Self-sabotage can only survive if responsibility is avoided. So instead of saying, "I was triggered by my past," she says, "You made me feel this way." Instead of admitting, "I don't know how to receive steady love," she says, "You're too boring, dividido por tu pasive, dividido por tu predictable." Instead of asking, "Why do I keep destroying what I say I want?" she says, "You're not doing enough." Blame protects the ego, but kills the relationship. Because if you are always the reason she's upset, then she never has to grow. And if she never has to grow, the cycle of dissatisfaction never ends. What a stoic man must do. Here's the hard truth men need to hear. You can understand her wound. You can empathize with her upbringing. You can even love her through her insecurity, but you cannot let her chaos become your lifestyle. A Stoic man does three things. 1. Names the pattern calmly. This isn't about today. This is the same thing that happens every time things get peaceful. 2. Sets the boundary. We don't create fights for stimulation. If you need to talk, we talk. We don't punish. 3. Refuses to overperform. I will show up, but I will not beg to be trusted. Because if you keep rewarding self-sabotage with more effort, you teach her nervous system. Every time I create chaos, I get more love. That's backward. Love should be deepest when there is honesty, not when there is drama. The real exit. Can she break the cycle? Yes, if she wants to. But it requires what many people, not just women, avoid: taking ownership of triggers, practicing gratitude over comparison, tolerating calm without inventing problems, learning to receive love without attacking the giver. If she won't do that, then your job is not to rescue, your job is to protect your peace. Because the worst kind of heartbreak is not losing a woman, it's losing yourself while trying to fix someone who had no intention of healing. There's a harsh reality. Most men learn too late. You can love her deeply and still lose yourself trying to make her happy. Because love without boundaries isn't love, it's self-erasure. Men think strength means endurance, that if they just stay patient long enough, she'll eventually appreciate them. But a Stoic man understands something different. Peace is not earned through tolerance, it's maintained through discipline. And discipline starts with knowing what belongs to you and what doesn't. Her emotions are not your responsibility. If you take nothing else from this chapter, take this. You are not responsible for another person's inner weather. You can offer shelter. You can offer warmth. But you are not the storm. Her moods, her discontent, her endless dissatisfaction, they are not your fault, and not your burden to carry. A Stoic man stands firm in truth, not guilt. When she's angry for no reason, he doesn't scramble to fix it. When she's silent, he doesn't beg her to talk. When she withdraws, he gives her the space she's asking for, because he knows that peace built on pleasing someone is an illusion. It lasts only as long as her mood does, and moods change like tides. The moment you start apologizing for emotions you didn't cause, you've handed her the steering wheel to your self-respect. The rule of emotional gravity. In every relationship, someone's emotional state sets the tone. If you chase her energy, you'll be pulled into her chaos. If you stay grounded, she will eventually adjust to your calm. This is what I call emotional gravity. A man's steadiness can either heal the environment around him or become buried beneath it. The difference lies in his ability to remain unmoved by temporary storms. When she tests you, when she's distant, dramatic, or dismissive, don't take the bait. That moment is your test too. She's asking silently, can this man hold his center when I lose mine? And most men fail right there. They react. They defend. They explain. They panic. But a Stoic man understands not every storm deserves a response. Some storms exist only to reveal who can stand in the rain without losing composure. The art of saying enough love without self-respect becomes servitude. and there's a moment every man must face. The moment you realize she's not unhappy with you, she's unhappy within herself. That's when you stop negotiating your worth. That's when you stop apologizing for not fixing what isn't yours to fix. And that's when the word enough becomes sacred. Enough chasing. Enough explaining. Enough walking on eggshells. When you say enough, you're not giving up on her. You're standing up for yourself. You're choosing peace over performance. And peace is where real masculinity begins. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. So stop overestimating her approval. Stop letting her reaction define your reality. Your worth isn't measured by how much chaos you can absorb. It's measured by how much peace you can protect. Boundaries are not barriers. When you set a boundary, immature people call it coldness. But boundaries are not walls, they are filters. They don't shut people out. They keep toxicity from getting in. A Stoic boundary sounds like this: I love you, but I won't be spoken to that way. I'll help you through this, but I won't be blamed for what I didn't cause. If you need space, take it, but don't punish me with silence. You see, boundaries aren't about control. They're about clarity. They separate compassion from self-betrayal. A man without boundaries becomes her emotional cushion soft, safe, and easily discarded. A man with boundaries becomes her anchor, strong, steady, and respected even when disagreed with. The Stoic reframe compassion without enabling Stoicism isn't cold detachment. It's warm clarity. When you understand that her dissatisfaction isn't yours to solve, you can finally love her from a place of peace instead of panic. You can listen without absorbing. You can care without collapsing. You can empathize without enabling. If she's venting, you don't interrupt to fix it. You listen. You nod. You stay present. Then, when she's done, you calmly remind her of reality. I hear that you're upset, but I'm not your enemy. We're on the same side. That sentence, calm, firm, and compassionate, is masculine power in action. It resets the polarity instantly, because in that moment, you're not reacting like a boy trying to be liked. You're leading like a man who doesn't need to be, protecting the inner fortress in Meditations. Aurelius called it the inner citadel, the fortress of peace that no one can enter unless you open the gate. Most men let that fortress crumble because they keep trying to rebuild someone else's. They lose sleep over moods they didn't cause. They give up hobbies, friends, identity, just to keep the peace. But peace bought with self-abandonment isn't peace. It's surrender. Your calm is your greatest asset. Your silence, when rooted in strength, not fear, is your greatest weapon, because silence reveals truth faster than words ever can. You must understand the moment you stop trying to fix her. She's forced to face her own reflection, and in that reflection, she'll see one of two things: a man she respects, or a man she can manipulate. You decide which one she sees. The Stoic equation of power. Here's the equation no one tells men: self-awareness plus boundaries equal respect. Respect plus calm equal attraction. Attraction plus consistency equal peace. This is how you shift from being the pleaser to being the pillar. A woman may not always like your peace, but she will always feel it. And the truth is, deep down, she's craving that presence, because a man who can't be shaken by her storms becomes the only place she can rest. That's the paradox. She may fight your calm, resist your detachment, accuse you of not caring, but secretly, that strength is what makes her feel safe. So hold it. Don't collapse into her emotions. Don't match her chaos. Let your stillness teach her what peace feels like again. The Stoic's choice. In every man's life comes a point where he must choose to keep chasing the approval of the restless or to stand in the truth of his own composure. One path leads to exhaustion, the other to mastery. Choose mastery, because you can't make an unhappy woman happy, but you can make yourself unshakable. And that kind of peace, it doesn't just change your relationship, it changes your entire life. There comes a moment in every man's life when silence becomes louder than devotion, when love stops being about holding tighter and starts being about holding truer. You can love her, wish her well, even pray for her healing, and still walk away. That's not coldness. That's freedom, the kind born from wisdom, not bitterness. You can't fix what was broken before you. Most men stay too long, mistaking endurance for loyalty. They think if they just love harder, stay longer, she'll finally see their worth. But you can't fix unhappiness that was planted long before you arrived. You can comfort her, not cure her. You can support her, not save her. And the longer you try, the more you drown in the storm that was never yours to calm. Peace begins when you stop asking, "How do I make her happy?" and start asking, "Why am I accepting pain disguised as love? Love doesn't always mean." Staying modern culture glorifies endurance as if real love is proven by how much you suffer. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Endurance without purpose is self-betrayal. If you're giving endlessly to someone who only takes, you're not being strong, you're being drained. Real love doesn't demand you lose yourself. It doesn't punish your calm or question your peace. Sometimes walking away isn't abandonment, it's alignment. It's saying, "I choose truth over illusion." The strength of peaceful distance. When you step back, something shifts. You stop being her emotional supply. You stop feeding her chaos with your reactions. You stop participating in the cycle that kept you small. She might call it coldness. She might call it detachment. But what you're really doing is breaking the addiction to rescuing what refuses to heal. That distance is sacred. It's where love transforms from need into clarity. The inner fortress restored. Marcus Aurelius called it the inner citadel, the fortress inside every man that only falls if he opens the gates. Every time you apologize for peace or chase validation, you abandon that fortress. But when you reclaim it, when you stay calm while she spirals, when you respond instead of react, you rebuild the walls that protect your soul. Because the man who governs his emotions governs his life. He no longer fears losing love, because he finally found it within himself. Letting go without closing your heart. The danger after heartbreak is becoming hard. But Stoic strength isn't hardness, it's wholeness. You don't close your heart. You cleanse it. You don't stop feeling. You stop forcing. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you no longer let caring cost your peace. When you can remember her name without pain, hear her voice without anger, see her happy without envy, that's healing. The Stoics' peace. You don't owe anyone your destruction. You owe yourself your peace. A Stoic man doesn't chase, doesn't explain, doesn't beg. He stands still because stillness is power. And from that stillness, he learns, you can't make an unhappy woman happy, but you can make yourself unshakable. And that kind of peace, calm, centered, untouchable, isn't the end of love. It's the beginning of freedom. When you finally stop trying to make her happy, something incredible happens. You remember what peace feels like. The silence that once scared you now feels like freedom. The emptiness that once hurt now feels like space to rebuild. You start to realize she wasn't your lesson in love, she was your lesson in self-respect. And that's the lesson every man must learn at least once in his life. Because love isn't measured by how much you endure, it's measured by how much of yourself you refuse to lose. So, if you're listening to this right now, stop trying to fix what was never yours to fix. Stop apologizing for choosing peace. Stop chasing validation that vanishes the moment you find it. Let her go. Let her learn. And let yourself become the man you were supposed to be all along, calm, grounded, untouchable. Remember this, you don't lose when someone who never valued you walks away. You win back the parts of yourself you gave away trying to be enough. You reclaim your time, your dignity, your strength. And from this day forward, make a promise to yourself to never again settle for confusion, to never again trade peace for passion, and to never again beg for love that requires losing yourself. Because the moment you choose peace over chaos, you stop surviving and start becoming. If this message spoke to you, share it with a brother who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more Stoic truths every man must know. And remember, you are not what you lost, you are what you learned. I choose peace. I choose awareness. I choose respect.